You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks 101 with Keith Engle, and this week it'll be you again. You're going to get to pop in and give your 5-minute rants. Where are all you guys that just were with me on the Mac and Jack show? I did sit in for Mac today. Mac's having a little bit of health issues, and I got a feeling we're going to get a mower behind us or something in a second, which I hope we don't. So anyway, we hope Mac's doing better. We wish him and Linda well, and hopefully they'll be back in the saddle next week. And we're happy to fill in with Jack Hirsch this morning. We had some fun. We talked a lot of stuff that I don't normally talk about, and I know Mac does it, but we had fun. We talked boxing, and we get into that today. Again, no interview. I'm working on Rick Barry. Rick Barry got back to me and said he's free next week, but then he's gone dark on me again the last couple of days, so we'll see. Rick, if you're out there, call me. And then we're working on some other guys. It's been very tough to get guys to respond lately. I don't know what the deal is. I think because there's such a proliferation of these shows, it gets hard. But we'll fill in. We'll do some more commentary on Fridays, and we'll do this, 5-minute rant. Where is everybody? Get in the room and do the rant. Anyway, I want to welcome everybody watching on Facebook, our TGI Sports Talk Facebook page, our YouTube page, Twitter page. We're live on Roku on the National Streaming Sports Network. And you'll see this shared to a lot of groups later on as well. Want to thank or put a shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does the Sports Corner and many, many other things, but we focus on the Sports Corner promotion every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. He does that with Smoking Jim Frazier. I've been a guest on that show and was this past week, so check that out. I think we've recovered the Facebook issues, by the way, being able to share the show. I was able to share the professional sports show on National Streaming Sports on Wednesday night, so hopefully that's okay. The Facebook issue seems to be straightened out, but Dave Gayette told me he's having trouble commenting on YouTube now, so good grief. Anyway, quick shout out to some of the groups that allow us to share. By the way, DDH, thumbs up. Thanks for watching over us all the time. John Gonzalez at the Sports Authority, I know, has popped into the Mac and Jack show recently, or to this morning recently. Yeah, very recently this morning. So we welcome him to the show, and he does the Sports Authorities, one of the best groups, best admin out there. Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, Sports and More. Not Sports and More, that's America's Pastime, Love for Baseball. Ken Krause at Golf Buds, Sports of All Sorts. Flo at Bottom Line Sports does some tremendous stuff. And Let's Talk Sports, where Flo does his show live, and Tanner and the gang are doing some great stuff over there. Check out all these places, guys. Great content. National Streaming Sports, great content all day long. Not just this show. So looks like Dave is good. I'm not sure. Is that Dave might be on Facebook this morning. I don't know. But good morning, Dave. Good to have you with us. We can talk Yankees this morning, Dave. If you want to come on, anybody can come on. I'm going to put the link in. The link is before Dave's comment. I've still got the links. I'll put them up again and several times during the show. You can come in and do a 5-minute rant on whatever you want. You can rant about me and my opinions on things. We can talk Tyson, Jake Paul tonight. Do we care? Does anybody care? Is Mike Tyson putting himself in danger? Is Jake Paul putting himself in danger? We can talk about that. Aaron Rodgers, will he be back in 25? Do Jet fans even care? Chris Sale, comeback player of the year, maybe Cy Young Award winner. Greatest comeback of all time? One of them, I think. Aaron Boone coming back as a lame duck manager. Good idea? Don't think so. Will the Angels ever figure it out? We'll talk about some of these things later on the MLB update as well, but just throwing some things out we can get into. Dave is on YouTube. Good. So you don't have a problem this morning. That's good to hear. College football, at least 12 teams control their own destiny. Georgia up for their last stand. Tennessee, I think, beats them at home, and Georgia's an 11.5-point favorite. Very weird to me. There was talk about the NBA where the Warriors were in the NBA, the NFL. Will some of these surprise teams? Danny talked about the Redskins. There's Jeremy. You want to come in this morning, Jeremy? Talk about your Lions. Any rant you want to give? You want to have a problem with one of my takes? Lions find a way to win last week with Jared Goff throwing 5 interceptions. How good is that? Rick can't participate. Are you at an appointment this morning, Rick? We're going to put this in again because I know Jeremy will jump in. He'll have something. Dave, you want to do a rant on Aaron Boone getting a lame duck? He's the last year of his contract. Never a good idea. We could talk about Soto, whether the Yankees should bring him back or shouldn't. I have a problem with Aaron Judge being in center field every day. Aaron Judge is a great right fielder. Aaron Judge is an average center fielder, and I believe the wear and tear in center field had an effect on Aaron Judge's finish. Maybe not the playoffs, because that's a different can of worms, but he didn't play well the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. He didn't play as well as he played early on. And I think the wear and tear of center field affects that. On the Mac and Jack show, we had some strong opinions about the Redskins from Danny, and we had some. There's Danny. Everybody's where the heck are you driving at freaking 6 o'clock in the morning? Pop in. Somebody pop in. We want to do this when we don't have, and interviews they're going to be sporadic probably through the end of the year at least, because of holidays, and it's getting hard to get guys on, man. I've had so many guys that I've had booked and now have backed out. Again, maybe it's my takes. I don't know, but we'll talk about a lot of things. My take on the Tyson Paul fight is this. To me, and we talked about it on the and anybody wants to talk about this, pop in. Jeremy, you got a take on the Paul Tyson fight? Pop in. You got a take on any? It doesn't have to be the Lions. Pop in, Jeremy. I know you got a problem with your hair in the morning, as I do, but pop in. Anybody, wherever you are. Ron Bear, pop in, Ronnie. You got to have a take on Tyson and Paul or something in the NFL. The Dolphins stink. Some of these teams that have struggled, teams that are good. We have a big debate about talk about Redskins fans. Should they be happy if they just make the playoffs and lose a playoff game? Danny said he wouldn't have been happy with that, even in August. Now, I got to believe most Redskins fans, and I don't doubt Danny for a second, but I think most Redskins fans, if you told them you might have a winning season, 10 wins and a playoff appearance, you'd have been happy. Ronnie's you converted to a Packer fan in Texas? Tell me about Jordan. I want a rant from somebody. Somebody's got to have a rant about something, or just an opinion. I call it a rant. You can have an opinion. I'm going to pop. You see that, Ron, just before you popped in, you go to the comments, you'll see the link. Dave Guyette, you got to have a comment about your Syracuse Orangemen. I got an argument with a guy in a bar last Sunday, which we talked about extensively, and I don't know if I want to open myself up for more slander lawsuits or not, but I'm a Miami Hurricane fan. They do control their own destiny. I don't think it's a given that they win out and even get in the ACC championship game. I think I'm going to the Syracuse Miami game on the 30th. Syracuse has got enough offensive firepower to put a scare, if nothing else, into this Miami team. So many things to talk about in the world of sports. And I want some of you guys to pop in. I didn't. When did you convert to a? No, I didn't put that up again. I'm going to keep posting this until somebody pops in. And you might get more than 5 minutes if you want to pop in, because how come I didn't get my last comment? There we go. I got some more. Send me the link. It's right in the comments here, Jeremy. Right in the comments. Jeremy will pop in. I'm going to give Jeremy as much time as he wants unless somebody else pops in. I'll give Jeremy as much time as he wants, because Jeremy does some great podcasting. I want to give him a chance to push his own stuff and also give me whatever comments he wants to talk about. The Packers are big everywhere. When my brother lived in San Diego, there was a Packer bar out there. You found one in Utah when he moved there. So you're right. People talk about the Cowboys being America's team. I think it's the Packers still. It's too funny. So hopefully Jeremy's fixing his hair and he'll pop in here in a second and we'll talk some stuff. Ronnie went to Lambeau and watched Josh Beekman play. Did you? Josh Beekman from Amsterdam, for those of you who don't know, had a great career at Boston College, played with Matty Ice there, Matt Ryan, for 3 years. We went out to a ton of home games during those 3 years, I guess. And then Josh went on, was a 3rd round pick, I want to say, the Bears. And he started a bunch of games in his first couple of years. And then the league, as it does, catches up with people. So looks like Jeremy had to put a hat on because he couldn't get his hair fixed today. So good morning, Jeremy.
It was just a mess. Good morning, Keith.
That fight is real. So.
Yeah, it is. The struggle to get that last one in place.
What do you got for me this morning, Jeremy?
My rant is, why can't we have consistency from one game to the next, let alone 1 week to the next, with the refs in the NFL?
Oh, that's a rant all to itself. Now, and I will say, I usually give people 5 minutes, but and I don't say anything, but you paused. I'll say this. I always say, you don't let the referees beat you. Now, there's 2 pieces to this. You never let the referees beat you. You can't put yourself in a position to get beat by a bad call. That does not mean there are not bad calls in the NFL and pretty much every sport. And in the NFL, it's been atrocious this year. College football has been atrocious this year. So my opinion still sticks, but I just can't. You got to have better referees. I don't know if you need full-time referees or what, but they're affecting too many games.
That's one solution. The other is to do a scoring system where they keep track of them like the NBA does, where you got to be at least 85% accurate. Is that Fran Tarkenton over my shoulder? No, that is a custom nutcracker that has a custom Lions helmet by my sports memorabilia guy. He made it for me because I'm a podcaster.
I see. Rick's a Viking fan. That's why he's asking about Mr. Tarkenton.
Hello, Rick. No, but I will tell you, I am from the same hometown as Paul Krause. He graduated from a high school, the same high school my dad went to.
Excellent. I've been trying to get Paul Krause. Rick's a big Viking guy, and I've been working on Fran Tarkenton and Paul Krause for the longest time. It took me forever, but I got Chuck Foreman for him, and we're still working on some of those guys, Rick. So what are your thoughts on your Lions, Jeremy? I mean, good teams find ways to win. They got no business in that game last week, but good teams find ways to win games, and that's what happened to your team Monday.
Well, let's look at the totality of the 5 interceptions that put us in that predicament. 2 of them were great defensive plays at the line. Had nothing to do with how bad Jared Goff played, because one was a guy leapt up 3 feet in the air and batted a ball on a screen pass to Gibbs, and the other guy dove and caught it. I mean, that's a great defensive play. Then there was the one where the guy hit his arm as he started to go forward, and you could almost say it was a fumble, but I don't know how they rule stuff anymore. Because I've seen fumbles called interceptions and interceptions called fumbles, and passes that were caught where you seen a football move, a turnaround, and it gets popped out called incomplete.
You look at last night's game. The game was done, really. It was the last touchdown that the team formerly known as the Redskins scored on the 2-point conversion. Ertz makes a great catch, and it's a touchdown. He just tapped his feet, and I don't know if you saw this play. But earlier this year, the Patriots had the same exact play. Polk catches the ball, and they should have won the game. I can't remember who was against. It was, I want to say the Dolphins, but I think it was the Dolphins. He goes out of the bounds and gets his toes down, both of them. But because he's backing out of the end zone, similar to what Ertz was doing last night, his heel came down out of bounds. They called it no touchdown.
Yeah,
I mean, it either is or it isn't.
I thought 2 feet, 2 toes. That's all you needed. 1 elbow, 1 knee. I mean, they got all these crazy rules every time. It expands on what it is that is or is not a touchdown, and you can't get consistency in the same week.
Yeah,
let alone.
Should it matter whether you're going out forwards or backwards? What the rule is? I mean, that's just nuts.
Or the guy that put his right foot down twice before the other foot came down out of bounds, and it didn't count because it wasn't 2 feet; it was 1 foot twice.
What do you see an answer for this issue?
The sky judge thing has to happen. It has to happen.
Yeah.
It was suggested. The UFL has been using it. They haven't gone away from it. You got 30 seconds of video after each play. They're not rushing them to the line like they are everywhere else unless it is in after the 2-minute warning. I do like the fact they give the extra challenge now for the coaches if they get one right.
No, I like that too. What about penalties? You think that penalties should fall into the replay challenge bucket? I do in my.
Yeah, because there's been way too many mistakes. Number one, let's look at the totality of the rule of the new targeting in the NFL, and it's not even called targeting; it's just helmet to helmet.
Right.
The first time is supposed to be an unsportsmanlike or an unnecessary roughness and a warning, according to the letter of the rule in the NFL. In college, it doesn't matter. If they say you targeted, you're out, right?
Absolutely.
Brian Branch had that helmet to helmet, and yes, it looked bad, and yes, I agreed it was a penalty. But by the letter of the rule, he was supposed to get a warning. So when he got ejected, I'm like, okay, I get it. It looked pretty bad. The guy's falling to the ground. He dives down into his face mask, helmet to helmet. He deserved the penalty 100%. And the call came in before he flipped off the fans. And he got fined a total of $20,000, $10,000 for the hit, and $10,000 for flipping the birds. Right? I said, well, then if you think about it, he got $5K a bird and $10K for the hit. And I said, but a guy that the guy that accidentally hit the ref got $11,300. Nick Bosa got $11,300 for wearing a politically based hat. I don't want to say the name because people get upset when you say it.
We can say it. It's okay.
Okay, the MAGA hat. And I'm like, since when is freedom of speech wrong anymore?
Listen, and you have to have that opinion both ways, because I said the same thing.
I do.
About the whole Kaepernick thing.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want here. You just have to be ready for the repercussions, and they
Amen.
When needed.
Amen. And Cap, what he did, and the first time he ever did it, he didn't kneel. He sat on the bench.
Yeah, agreed.
He refused to get up.
Yeah.
And the suggestion to get on his knee came from an Army Ranger.
Yeah.
And I respect the Army Ranger's opinion, but he was wrong.
Oh, whether we agree or not isn't the point, right? I mean, that's not the point.
But I respect his opinion, nonetheless.
Right. Absolutely.
I respect your opinion, even when we don't agree.
Well, it probably happens a lot, but because
you know what? You know what I do? It's just like everything else in my life. If I don't agree with it, I don't have to react to it. It's
exactly.
Scroll on,
Yeah.
or wait for the next point that you do agree with. Or if you got a valid opposing point without sounding like a total windbag. I had to clean it up there for a second.
Well, you could do
for
that.
The masses.
I've been called
that. If you're not a total windbag in your answer, give your rebuttal. Make a logical, intelligent response.
Right.
If you have to go to a personal attack over to somebody for their opinion, that means you are of little mind.
Yeah, and there's too much of that today for sure.
Oh, yeah. It goes both ways.
Yeah, let me ask you a question about Kaepernick again. This is another pin that I've had that has not been terribly popular. That I don't believe he was 100% blackballed from the league because there are so many bad acts that they bring in. If he could play football and help a team, Colin Kaepernick would have been back in the NFL. I believe he didn't have the talent. He wasn't accurate enough. He played a tricked up offense.
You said the key words. If he could play football. First year he was in the league, he had just over 60% completion percentage, all the yards, and he still had more yards rushing than he had passing.
Yep.
The next year he dropped to 58%. The next year he dropped to 55, and once he hit 52, they said, "Okay, we can't let you be less than Achilles Smith."
That's like the Mendoza line in football, right? Achilles Smith.
It is. Achilles Smith is the worst completion percentage in football. Oh, I forgot. That's been broken this year by Anthony Richardson, who's starting.
Oh, my God. Another guy I said. So, again, just to stick with Kaepernick for a second. If he could play, he'd been in the league. I mean, the evidence is pretty simple. And look at some of the people that do come back. Ray Lewis may or may not have killed 2 people, but whatever. He can play football, so we'll let him back in. He was involved in some way. People with bad acts who have got gun charges against them. They beat women unless you do it on film, like Ray Rice, right? Yeah, Ray Rice. But don't let the air out of football, by the way. If you let the air out of football, you're going to get suspended. We all know that. So again,
Ray Rice, Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt back now being a big contributor for the Chiefs.
Who was the guy that just got bounced from? Let's see, he went everywhere. Greg, the one that beat his wife, went from Cowboys to Broncos and to Saints, and now retired because no one wants him.
Oh gosh.
You know who I'm talking about because it was a big deal about 2.5 months ago.
I do, and I can't think of his name. That's terrible.
Neither can I. But all of those guys are domestic violence abusers, and other than Ray Rice, everybody's still in the league.
Yeah, because they didn't get caught on film, I guess. But
no, they were on film.
Were they on film?
They were on film.
No, so
Cam Sutton, if the reports would have been true, I doubt he'd have played in the NFL again.
Yeah.
And I still think it was something similar. Like the report was 70% truth and 30% fake, but the 30% the fake part would have got him locked up for life almost. And I like the UFL's rules. I do agree with it. But it's a felony criminal record. They allow misdemeanors, DUIs, stuff like that back in. There is a little leeway there. They have some leeway, Chris. But it's a felony criminal record.
If you're involved in 2 murders, you can't play anymore in the UFL?
Right.
No. Okay. Which league is that? I get confused with all these football leagues.
That was the combination of the USFL and whatever they called the other XFL.
Yeah. Okay.
So they just call it the United Football League, and I heard they're expanding to at least 12, if not 16 teams this year.
Really? Are there people watching these games? I have not even.
Yes.
I'll be quite honest, I have not even checked it out. There are people going to these games.
Well, yeah, because it helps when you're the kid that you got. Because the Houston Texans cut him on August 12th, 2023, can hit a 64-yard field goal at the closing minutes in Ford Field for the Michigan Panthers in the first game of the season.
I like the Michigan Panther name. They got some of the old USFL names, at least that couple, weren't there?
Right, because it was the XFL plus the USFL they combined, the St. Louis Battlehawks, and they brought it.
Old USFL back in the 80s. Talking about.
Yeah, New Jersey Generals.
Yeah. By the way, that's a league that would have made it if they just kept playing in the spring.
Right. They tried to move to the fall and compete with the NFL.
Can't compete with the NFL and college football, by the way.
Right. Chris, that's great. The reason why it's hard to find them on TV is because nobody expected them to last. So no big sponsors wanted to go to them. But now that Vince McMahon's out and The Rock is a part of the WWE again, guess who gets to sponsor them? The WWE.
Interesting.
So that's their biggest sponsor and what keeps them afloat. That's what gives all these owners their little six-figure profit for right now. Eventually, it will be the 7 to 9 big digit one.
Should I be watching the UFL? Am I missing something?
Well, that's where a lot of these guys that you never heard of that come in and all of a sudden hit the league like gangbusters, and you see, well, they're not a rookie. What's going on? They're coming out of the UFL and the CFL. So, like the Jets corner that's been doing really good in the slot that no one's talking about, Quantez Stiggers, he came out of the CFL. They drafted him.
Yeah.
So there are some people that are coming. Jake Bates, Brandon Aubrey, the kicker for Dallas has been so good. He came out of the USFL 2 years ago. So Hakeem Butler is a name that was tossed around this year. In the Grey Cup is final this Sunday.
Chris is our Canadian correspondent, and he's well versed in the Grey Cup. In fact, we've got a ex CFL player and Canadian politician that we're working on getting on the interview show that we'd like to get in. Have not heard back from him yet, but Chris turned me on to him. So, and also donating his brain to science from his football days, assuming when he passes away. I didn't know you need to pass away. When I donated my brain, I did it while I was alive, and it was my wife.
I donated my brain to stupidity a long time ago, and it's slowly coming back. It's not growing, but some of the faculties are returning.
You're better off than me. Chris, what else you got? Anything else you want to chat about? I can't get anybody else to come in today. They're all there. Thank you, Neil. Thank you. I didn't have his name in front of me. Neil Lumsden. He's a politician now in
Nice.
Yeah. Anything else on your mind you want to?
Well, we had no business winning that game, but we did. And I want to give kudos to the one guy that I've been the hardest on in the coaching staff, and that's Aaron Glenn. There's some stats that I didn't realize, even though we're giving up. Well, let's face it, we're a bend, don't break defense.
Yeah.
And this is what he's envisioned the entire time. We're giving up a buttload of yards between the 20s, but you know what we're not giving up? Touchdown.
That's what matters.
We have given up the least amount of touchdowns through 9 games of any team in the league in 7.
Don't they have the best red zone defense in the league, or one of the best?
We dropped the third. We're still doing good. Yeah. But we're first in QBR against and passer rating against. The QBR against is just under 80, but the passer rating is almost 70. We are first in touchdowns given up in the passing game. We may be 27th in yardage, but that's because we don't care what you do between the 20s.
You know, I watched the team for 20 years, win 6 Super Bowls, and compete most other years as well, do the same thing. Gave up tons and tons of yardage until they got to the red zone. And
yet, I think they only had 2 out of those 6 Super Bowls where they were in the top 10 in yardage.
Yep.
But they were always top 10 in scoring.
Yep, always.
In the first year, they had an amazing defense. You know, Ty Law being the corner he was, that kind of helped a lot. You know, he shut down half a field.
The backs were really good on the first 2 Super Bowl teams. The defensive backs were really the backbone of that defense. The linebackers, in a way, as well. But
let's go ahead and say it, because we know we're talking about the Patriots.
Oh, I knew. I thought we all knew.
Yeah. Oh no, you said 6 Super Bowls. You could have been talking about a Steelers.
6 Super Bowls, do they?
Yeah, they do.
Do they? 4? Oh, they do. They won 1 with Big Ben too, right?
2 with Big Ben.
I'm sorry, 2 with Big Ben, and then 4 with Bradshaw in the 70s. And, good point. I guess Tom Brady's got 7, and I'm thinking we're ahead there.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're still tied.
That's all right. But we'll be tied for quite a while unless the Steelers win one.
Well, if Steelers keep doing what they've been doing, they have a good chance of upsetting some people this year.
You know, listen, I thought they were crazy to switch quarterbacks because I thought Russell Wilson is. I still don't think he's not. I don't think he's the reason they're continuing to win anymore. I thought Justin Fields was. Do you think he's appreciably better than Justin Fields at this point? I think I still think Fields gives you more.
Yes. Fields gives you more yards, but he does not give you more touchdowns. Russell Wilson is better at completing passes in the red zone and completing passes to wide receivers that are open.
Fair.
So I'm seeing a Russell Wilson resurgence. He's looking a lot closer to the Russell Wilson before he got the shoulder injury in Seattle. That last injury he had, he's looking a lot closer to that year than he is the last couple of years. Mr. Butler, how are you today?
Robert's here. Robert might have a 5-minute rant to come in with. I don't know. Come on, Robert. Pop in here.
But
you got something on your mind.
Even in that week when Branch got ejected, there was another game, same day, same time, where Chris Olave got Malachi crunched by two guys helmet to helmet, and both those guys got to complete the game.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. You can't have consistency within the games that are being played in the same day, let alone in opposite weeks. How do you expect anybody to respect that?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, Ravens Steelers is going to be a good game.
That'll be a good game for sure.
Who did the Jets play this week?
Jets play hang on.
Oh, the Chargers. Yeah, they're losing.
The Chargers, they'll lose again.
Yeah, the Jets are losing that one.
They've quit. That team's quit. Kansas City Buffalo's a good matchup this week, obviously.
I about died laughing when I saw it on the sideline. Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson sit next to each other, and they just looked at each other. All of a sudden, at the same time, you see both guys go, "What the?"
That could be a general comment about why they're there in the first place, for crying out loud. You think, Roger? I have no idea why the Jets would run this back again next year. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be the quarterback of his team? I know they don't have a backup plan, and they'll have a high draft pick, but this is not a great class for quarterbacks coming out of college.
No, there's maybe two that belong in the first, but they'll be 4 drafted.
Yeah,
in the first.
Do you run this back with Rodgers again?
You might have to.
If I'm a Jet fan, I might be like suicidal at this point. But
Drake May looks pretty good.
Drake May has played some good football. He's made some mistakes, as you would expect out of a rookie quarterback. He needs to learn how to slide and not slide with his head when he does slide. But he's given that offense some. At least the games are fun to watch. They weren't fun to watch the first 4 or 5 games of the season. I didn't want him to play, quite frankly, because I was afraid he'd get hurt. That's one of the worst offensive lines in football.
I can't wait to see that vaunted Bears defense face off against Green Bay.
The vaunted. This is what year? Did we just transport back into 1985 or something?
Well, if you listen to Bears fans this season, our defense is so good and our weapons are so good. Caleb should be MVP by week 2.
The Bears. I think the Bears fired the wrong guy, by the way. I think Eberflus ought to be the guy getting fired and not the offensive coordinator. But this team makes way too many mistakes.
I think I found an edited version of Foles when he said we're taking the North and not giving it back. They bleeped out about 2 seconds in the middle of that. We're taking the North basement and not giving it back. Because, and since the millennium, and as much as everybody harps on the Bears, and yes, or the Lions, and we had an 0-16 season in that time. And yes, we haven't had a Super Bowl appearance. Guess what team's been in the basement more than the Lions?
The Bears, I'm sure.
Chicago Bears. And right now, this will be their 7th time since the year 2000.
Well, you go back to the 80s, except for like a 3 or 4 year run there, the team hasn't been much good since then. Here and there, but I don't get it. Who do you see as your main competition? I still get the 49ers once they get healthy, assuming they get healthy.
No, they are healthier, but I want to say it's either the Commanders or Eagles because they're starting to come into their own. Both the teams are playing really well right now. Whoever wins the East is the bigger competition because, let's face it, the West isn't as good as it was even last year or the year before that.
Good. That's a great point. But I think the 49ers are a little bit, I think their 5-4 record's a little misleading because they've had a lot of injuries. Everybody has injuries. I get that. But some important ones, they're getting healthy now. If McCaffrey is healthy and can play out the season, that's a huge addition.
I'm not giving a single team the injury excuse. We just lost a guy that was leading for defensive player of the year and still are winning every game. No matter how bad it looks at the beginning, no matter what type of thing is going on, Detroit's still winning. So if we can win losing the best player that everybody said, there's only 2 players on that Lions team that can not get hurt and they'd be successful. One was Jared Goff and the other one was Aiden Hutchinson.
I'm glad you brought up Jared Goff. We'll stay in the Lions here. I was not a big Jared Goff fan. I've become more of a Jared Goff fan recently. When that trade was made, were Lions fans happy to see Jared Goff come into Detroit?
It wasn't that we were happy to see Jared Goff come in. We were happy to see Matthew Stafford leave. 3 times into the playoffs, and only one of them was a game worthy of winning and still couldn't do it. They had to do it. We were done. We were done with seeing the Matthew Stafford experiment.
It's our boy Ralph Williams from RW Media. Ralph does some great.
Yes, I'm with Ralph on the External Bum on Saturdays. He's with me and my publisher's wife on Fire Up on Thursdays.
I've seen some of those shows. Good stuff. I was on with Ralph and Smoking Jim on the Sports Corner last Tuesday. That show, as I always mention to you guys, is on from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern as well. Chris is my guy. He said I called it a name. I did use the wrong word. I asked Chris to go out and find me irreverent sports facts, and one day I called them inane, and I misspoke. That was not the right word. I'm sorry, Chris. But today is Hop Ward's birthday. He would have been 159. Chris, you're getting older and older in these. Played one game for the Tigers along probably with Midnight. What was the guy's name from Field of Dreams?
Right.
Can't think of his name now. Isn't that terrible?
What's funny is I've got an irrelevant thing, but it's cool. There was one pitcher who was not blackballed from the Black Sox ordeal back in the day. Do you remember who it was?
Eddie Seacott.
Eddie Seacott.
Yeah.
His great grandson is a fan of the Lions and watches my show.
No kidding. That's awesome.
Yeah, so he was sitting there and he was talking about, it sucks because of the history of the Black Sox. And then I actually looked up, and the fact that he pitched the next year and still had a winning record, I said, your grandfather was not one of them.
Well, there's an interesting, a lot of the guys that were banned from there didn't have a lot to do with what went on. 8 Men Out is one of the great books and one of the great movies. The book is better, but if people are interested in that type of thing, it's a great read. And Shoeless Joe Jackson had like no clue what the hell he was doing at all. I mean, he had like 400 in that series and just destroyed him. He didn't even know what he was saying. The guy was illiterate. Too bad. Well,
the only game that the Black Sox won, Eddie Seacott was on the mound.
Yeah.
I think that's why he didn't get involved. You know what I'm saying? He getting involved. But I was like, wait a minute. He pitched the entire game. He actually batted over 200 in the game. Because back then, they didn't have DHs.
No, of course not. Of course not. I was on the lines. I got sidetracked. So we talked about Jared Goff. You're happy to get anybody that wasn't named Matthew Stafford. Did you really think that Jared Goff would still be your quarterback 4 years later?
No.
I
literally thought this was the year he'd either walk or be traded.
Yeah.
Because it was the last year of that contract. And I said, if he's here, then they see something that we haven't. But I saw it in year 2. That year 2, that switch that was flipped in the 2022 season while we had an abysmal defense. What was it? He was 29 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. They had like a 103 QBR for the year.
Yeah.
It was an amazing stat that We were 1-7, and this guy's got a QBR over 100, and nobody's talking about him because there was only 2 quarterbacks with a QBR over 100 at midseason. Do you know who they were?
What year was that?
2022.
Mahomes.
Was it Mahomes? Yeah. That was the last year. Mahomes was great. Yeah, because every year Mahomes has went from amazing to great to good to what the hell is going on?
Well, winning Super Bowls at the same time.
Yeah.
The talent level's gone way down, so his numbers are bound to go down. But winning is what really matters, and he's a winner. We
Yep.
talked about it, finding ways to win, right?
Yep.
And that's what's great. And great coaching. Besides, I mean, you got a great young coach. Andy Reid's been doing it for a long, long time, and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and he's pretty funny too, and he likes to get the most out of his players, and that's one thing you can say about Dan Campbell. And he doesn't do it to his assistants either.
Yeah.
He's not one to berate someone publicly.
Yeah.
He'll take them aside, take them into the locker room, and put them behind the woodshed, away from cameras.
The way it should be done. Yeah.
But when he's in front of that camera, he falls on the sword.
Agreed. Well, Jeremy, I got Alan in the waiting room. I can't imagine what Alan Perales could want to talk about because all his teams stink. I can't imagine what he'd want to talk about, but he probably would. Give me a little plug for your stuff, and we'll let you get on with your day.
All right. You can find my writings at the SouthFloridaTribune.com under the Motor City Tribune heading. You could find my content on my channel, which is Kneecap Fighting with the Motor City Lions, where I go live 9 to 12 times a week. I think I'm the second hardest working man in social media than you.
I don't know that.
But and you can also find my stuff on the Amazon Roku channel, Huddle Sports Network. It's an app. Check it out. Lots of great shows.
Good stuff. Jeremy, thanks for coming in and helping out today. And it's a good hair day for you, so bad hair day for me. So
hey, it's a bad hair day for me every day.
We'll catch you this weekend, Jeremy. Thank you.
Yep.
Good luck this weekend.
Yep. Good luck to your team.
All right. Bye-bye. Jeremy popping in. I don't know. Before I bring Alan in, I'm trying to do my little Kernack thing here because in the envelope, I'm trying to figure out what Alan could possibly want to talk about. I would think he would be like in hiding until at least spring training. I don't know, but we'll bring Alan in. We'll see what he's got to say. Alan Perales from Let's Talk Sports Network. We'll give you a chance to plug your stuff before you go. But what's up, Alan?
Oh my God. Guys, go get your flu shot, by the way, because I have been battling the flu today and yesterday. It is not good, as you could probably tell in my voice. Funny thing, I saw this yesterday. There were only 2 quarterbacks in NFL history that have ever been ejected in getting pro football games.
Brant Tarkenton was one.
Fran Tarkenton and what's his name? Trent Dilfer was the other one.
Tarkenton was claiming to be the only one when I saw the clip of Fran, so I didn't know about Dilfer.
Dilfer got ejected after I think he took a shot at John Randall because Randall was eating him alive when he was in Tampa. So I think that's what that was.
What's on your rant mind today, Alan? You got to have something that you want to get off your chest. Sooners, Cowboys, something.
Look, I get why the committee is putting the teams at where they're putting them at. The last 2 weeks. I get that. The SEC is a tough schedule. It doesn't look as tough this year as it's looked in past years because everybody's beating each other up. You saw Georgia's lost twice this year so far. Alabama's lost twice so far this year. Tennessee, Ole Miss losing to Kentucky earlier in the year.
So your gripe is what?
My thing is that I get they did not like the outcome of Georgia TCU. But I feel like some of these teams that have earned their spot to be in that playoff mix are not getting enough love.
Like,
For one, I think Indiana should be a top 5 team right now. Because
they're
they
a top team right now.
are they top 5?
They're number 5.
They're number 5? Okay, good.
They did win 3 spots this week, so maybe that's what you're thinking. But
SMU should be in that top 12 right now. Nobody expected SMU to come into the ACC and dominate the way that they have. Their lone losses, of course, non-conference. They're unbeaten in ACC play. And I believe they got either Clemson or Miami or something coming up here in a week or two.
they wouldn't play Miami or Clemson, I don't think, until the conference championship.
To the actual title game. Okay.
See who they got left. They have
I feel like
Virginia and Cal left in the regular season.
Virginia and Cal left.
They should win all those games.
They should win all these games, yeah. But I feel like they're not getting enough love. I think Boise State should be a little bit higher than just – I know they're going to end up being 12 anyway because they're a group of 5 team, but I think they should be higher ranked because they've dominated all year and they're one field goal away from knocking off the top team in the country in Oregon. So I feel like they should be getting a little bit more love. Army, I think, should be getting a little bit more love. If they beat Notre Dame this weekend, they should get moved up a lot. I think they should have a shot.
Listen, I always root for the military academies, but Army again is
it's going to be a long shot for Army to get in.
Yeah, the strength of schedule is going to kill them. They can't get in unless Boise State loses. They can't get in. They won't both get in. Well, they could. I saw some.
They would have 2 top 25 wins if they went out because you'd have Notre Dame. They would be in the conference championship game and have a win over Tulane.
They're not going to beat Notre Dame. I don't think. If they stay in that game and lose close, I don't think it hurts them hardly at all. They need Boise State to lose either way. Even if they win out, they don't control their own destiny because Boise State, if they don't lose, they're gonna be ranked higher at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and that's all it's relevant for.
I think the one team though that I think is not getting the love it deserves is SMU because they played great and them getting knocked back a spot even though they were on a bye week. You know, I get what the committee's doing. They have, all those SEC teams at the top. They're going to knock each other out, I think. So, but
I think the one gripe or couple gripes you would have there, as far as them losing a spot, is Ole Miss jumping them. Now it's a big win for Ole Miss beating Georgia. Obviously, they jumped them and moved up. I don't know, 5 or 6 spots. But SMU controls their own destiny. They win out, they're going to be in because they're going to win the ACC and get that bid.
Mm-hmm.
They could very well do that. I don't see Miami. I'm a Hurricane fan. I don't see Miami beating SMU as we speak today.
Mm-hmm.
The defense is not good enough.
I want to say the other team that probably controls their destiny is Colorado. If Colorado wins the Big 12, they're in.
There's I've got at least 12 teams that control their own destiny right now. Still control their own destiny. Oregon controls their own destiny. Ohio State controls their own destiny. Texas, Penn State doesn't. Indiana, BYU, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Miami. Don't think Alabama or Ole Miss does. Georgia doesn't. Boise State controls their own destiny. SMU does. Colorado does. Texas A&M does. So you got like 4 teams outside of the top 12 right now that control their own destiny. Just win out and you're in.
There's going to be a 2-loss SEC team that's not going to get in.
That's probably true. I thought they would get 5 teams now. They might be lucky to get 4, partly because the Big Ten's better than I thought it would be. I didn't see the Indiana season coming, so I think you're right. I think it's possible the Big Ten gets more teams than the SEC.
If I'm Texas, I have to beat Texas A&M in a couple weeks because if they don't beat Texas A&M, I don't think they'll be in. Because your best win would be Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I think you got two teams in the top 4 right now that I don't think are locks yet. Texas, I don't think is a lock, as you just said. I don't think Penn State's a lock. They probably are. They're not going to get to the championship game, and it might be better off for them that they don't. But they could still lose a game. Notre Dame loses any game, they're out because the schedule's just not good enough for them to get in with 2 losses, I don't think. So there's a lot of teams that are in this top 12 that are not. Miami's not a lock. Alabama's not a lock. All these teams could lose. We could see 6 different teams. That's why we got how many more? We got at least 3. I think there's 4,
3 or 4 weeks left.
4 weeks of polls left, I think. And it's none of it's going to matter until that last one, right? We debate about where they're slotted right now, but and it's fun to do. But you've got a team, as you just said, Colorado, all the way down at 17, still alive. That's why this 12-team playoff. If this was a 14 playoff, we'd be talking about, I don't know, 7 teams right now, 8 teams. Now we're talking about 17 teams still with a chance to get in. And the 17th team controls their own destiny. I love this playoff. People thought every week wouldn't matter. Every week matters. Every week matters. I think it's a lot of fun. I don't know what you think, but I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna hop out before I lose my voice. So
where's Oklahoma in this? Are they out or
they're not even at the top 50, Scott?
I'll ask you because I know you don't feel good. I do appreciate you popping in, but I'll ask you this one question right now: is Brent Venable going to keep his job? He got the kiss of death. What do they call the vote of confidence the other day?
If he beats either Alabama or LSU, he probably will. But it's leaning towards the maybe at this point because now there's a lot of talk, and I know I heard this from Sam yesterday. Shout out to Mr. First Down, but Josh Heupel might be coming back
to Oklahoma.
So that's a rumor that's going on now. So if Josh Heupel becomes available, don't be surprised if Brent BV loses his job and they bring Heupel back to Oklahoma.
No, I know Bob Stoops was there, but didn't Heupel leave under very kind of?
It was a rough departure. So
yeah.
But he's still very loved within the community of Norman in the state of Oklahoma. He's very loved by the fans here.
Great stories for all those teams, Alan, but they'll get crushed by the SEC team. Maybe. I'm not sure. Boise State's really good. I'll tell you right now. Boise State's really good.
I mean, I'd be down to see a SMU Indiana national championship, wouldn't you?
I don't know that the networks would be that happy with that, but I would love to see something.
Well, who cares about the network? It's the fans that decide, right?
I could care less about whether they like it or not. I root for good stories. That'd be a great story. For sure.
I mean, this past World Series was really good for the network, and yet every fan in the world hated it.
Well, actually,
unless you're a Yankee or Dodger fan, in which case
matchup for baseball, great matchup for baseball. You're just a bitter Texas fan. You got enough voice left to give us a little plug for your shows?
Yeah. If I feel better tonight, Sam and I are gonna do our wrestling show tonight. That's gonna be at 9:15 Central Time. Also, our NBA show in the Hoop, check that out. That's tonight at 9:00 as well. We're going to do some college football talk and NFL talk on our Fantasy Gambler show on Saturday and Sunday. Sunday night post-game show, which is, I believe, Bengals-Chargers this week. So that should be a decent game. And then we usually have our baseball show on Wednesday. So, again, if I have a voice at all left. So
good stuff. Hang in there. Rest up, do those shows. It's important. You're good. You're a good man, Al, and you're doing some good work. So keep it up.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
For circumstances, you're a gamer.
I try. Thank you for having me on.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Alan Prowl is from Let's Talk Sports. He has a ton of his shows are on Let's Talk Sports. He does some great stuff. Alan started out on this show under very adverse circumstances that first day. And boy, has he come leaps and bounds, man. What a great story. And I'm glad I was there to be part of the beginning of Alan's podcasting career. So Lots of fun. Who's out there? Taylor Phillips, I see, is like the show. Michaela, Patty Bly-Levin. AC is around, hasn't commented. You guys can always comment. We'll have some fun. Well, we're wrapping up our show. Hopefully, again, we're working on Rick Barry, former NBA great, for next Friday. I can't swear it's going to happen. We may be doing these Friday rant shows, more often than not here through the end of the year. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But we're efforting new interview guests as we speak. So, guys, a lot of you guys, Chris and Danny, Rick, I know your Friday situation isn't maybe conducive to popping in, but I hope when we do this show one day, we have a chance to get you guys all to pop in, because I have fun interacting with you guys through the chat, and I think it will be fun to do more of it for sure. So the NHL standings, not one team is doing horrible. Nobody? I'll look at it quick, Chris. We got to get more into hockey. We'll get more into hockey here soon on the Sunday Stream of Consciousness, and maybe even this show when we're doing the rants. But it's hard. Basketball and hockey are just very hard for me until college football kind of finishes up, because they got the NFL and college football. They're just so much, and Major League Baseball offseason is very, very impressive. So that's interesting. Every team. Oh, look at it. I didn't think so. I looked at this wrong. Nobody's off to like a 1-15 start, so it's a good call. We'll get into more hockey as we go forward. Guys, I appreciate it. Again, we hope we have Rick Barry on next Friday. Hopefully, Rick, if you're listening, call me. And we'll be back at 3 o'clock with the MLB update. And we'll be on Sunday with the Sunday Stream of Consciousness. Sunday, the big football show will guest on before the Stream of Consciousness as well. We'll see you guys. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the pro and college football, and enjoy whatever it is you do. We got an early Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow with the family, because a lot of them kids go out of town to in-laws and whatnot. So we'll have a nice big party and big house full of people tomorrow. We'll have lots of fun to watch college football. You guys have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.